His eyes are black as the night, his sword dripping with the remains of his enemies. He's mysterious, and who am I kidding? He's an annoying burden to everyone else, and his characters are all derivative of some anime. The Crab King is back with a classic tale of edgy weeaboo with terminal main character syndrome. Roll post. Okay, first to clarify, this was about 2 to 3 years ago. Some of the details are kind of fuzzy on this, but the experience was so unsettling, my grandchildren will remember the emotions, the frustration I have felt from that campaign. So grab a good drink, some snacks, and settle down because this is a big one. I wouldn't say this specific individual was that guy, but I am very, very close to saying they were, so we'll call this person Mr. Guy. Mr. Guy was interesting, to say the least. His most notable trait was that he was very obsessed with things like anime that have heavy themes of imperialism and war. That, and with every single OC he had created for D&D, or just in general, had to be the strongest, most powerful, and, I have to mentally prepare myself for this one, edgiest goddamn characters I have ever witnessed in my entire life. Secret Warlord? Oh, it was a must for him. Strong silent hero? Maybe in his eyes, but a lot of his actions in-game were questionable, to say the least. One of said actions was during a campaign. I am very sad that I had to end it because of him. But also I'm very sad because we had some newer players joining us, and it was a shame their experience was ruined because of someone who legitimately thought his character was the main protagonist in the story. Not once did he actively try and participate in the party. Mr. Guy would not participate at all, no. Not actively try to help the group either, other than when we fought things but that's another part I'll get to later. Hoo boy, that'll be fun. And would not even listen to anything the DM said. Since we were playing via online, we had to ping him every single time his character was involved in something, or if it was something important that all the players needed to be present for. When he was participating, he would constantly interrupt the DM, saying, can you make me sound cooler? Or, I want to have a badass entrance. When our DM did finally give in, and it was his first time to go into his character's background, because at this point we thought it was better to comply than to argue. I beg of you, do not comply to these people. He, and I shit you not, sent the DM a full-ass country that he had inserted into the campaign's canon, which was homebrew, mind you. He then threw a fit when the DM told him that, I'm sorry, this country doesn't match with the rest of the country, and the fact that the rest of the players were deeply uncomfortable with the themes of the country he was basing this off of. Take a wild guess what Mr. Guy, the war-obsessed weeb, based this country off of. Imperial Japan. At this point, when the DM didn't let him do exactly what he wanted, the DM did let him make another country that fit more towards the canon, but it caused him to go into a Mom and Dad won't let me do what I want mentality. Every single time the rest of the party's characters were focused upon, or talking, or anything not having to do with his character, he would literally ignore us. He would leave the heavy RP moments and just pop into battle. What was he doing during the heavy RP moments? Playing video games in the background that we can see and hear. If it didn't involve his character as the main focus, he did not care about the game. Apologies for the interference, but we're currently experiencing so many red flags that this post single-handedly spawned a workers' revolution. OP cites Mr. Guy not engaging with roleplay, but with the little information we have right now, I personally think that's a blessing. Imagine this dude tearing up the roleplay scene like his name's Fakar. Not to mention the complete disrespect to everyone else to be loudly gaming during a session. If he's so uninterested, why is he there to begin with? But for real, I understand online D&D. It's nearly impossible for many to stay focused, and as a DM myself, I don't blame you guys. Just please, for your DM, try and hide the fact that you're gaming or scrolling or whatever else you're doing while playing. Roll post. That being said, this did annoy the other players and myself, but it's on us for not addressing this sooner, and that, my dear friends, that one action of staying patient for far too long, that was our downfall. Steering back to Mr. Guy's infatuation with specifically Imperial War and soldiers, this was what finally made our party snap. Let me set the scene for you. The party is trapped on a monster island that is located on a long, dormant celestial tortoise's back, trying to find a way to wake up the sleeping giant to get back to the mainland. We move through a very dark forest, trying to progress when suddenly this happens. DM. As you walk through the forest, you notice that there is movement to the east of you. Not extremely close, but not too far away from you guys either. Me. Can I use my dark vision to try and see what is causing this movement? I was playing a little goblin named Edith. I miss playing her dearly. DM. Yeah, of course, but keep in mind, since this is a supernatural type darkness, you will not be able to see everything. I roll an 18, and the DM started to tell us what we were hearing was an owlbear, and what proceeds to happen is horrifying. DM. Through the darkness, you start to see a rather large figure. You start to see that the said figure in the darkness is an owlbear with...
Hajime draws his Shinigami sword and beheads the owlbear with one swift movement, not showing any emotion as his samurai soldier training kicks in and hides any emotion he has ever learned to express.
Me, out of character. What? Why would you do that? That's just plain overkill, and it wasn't even showing any signs of hostility. Yeah, Mr. Guy, that is kind of a lot.
It's what Hajime would do. Anything he thinks is dangerous, he attacks. It's what he was trained to do. He hasn't learned how to think for himself, and his soldier training has...
DM. It was not going to attack you, but let's roll to see if you actually succeed. He rolls a natural goddamn 20. DM. With ease, you take your sword, and before the creature could react, its head is separated from its body. A few moments later, you hear a mewling noise as a smaller owlbear comes out, sniffling under the bush, walking up to the bigger owlbear and lets out a pained noise. Mr. Guy just killed a baby owlbear's mother, unprompted and out of nowhere. I'm sorry. I know this is a bad thing and all, but I find it entirely too funny that an anime-obsessed edgelord, he's standing there, he grips his katana, gives a dumbass trauma-laden speech, and then Bambi's an owlbear for literally no fucking reason. This guy is someone I would absolutely despise playing with. I'm being serious. But leave it to the edgelord to create an experience that is objectively awful. But from the third person, it becomes so bad it's good. Anyways, I genuinely want to know what happens next. Roll post. One of our players had the ability to speak to animals as a druid. Oh no. And druids are protectors of all creatures in the homebrew canon. The first thing they hear? Mama, it's okay if you want to sleep. I'll wait here and protect you. My heart absolutely shattered, and I thought this was the worst thing that Mr. Guy could be capable of. But the poor fool I am. Was I wrong? I was so very wrong. A few sessions later, we come across a village of people who were, and keep this in mind, a very peaceful people. We decide to stop there to rest and gather supplies and food for the baby owlbear. We adopted him because why wouldn't you? Then the wraiths showed up. The rest of the group wanted to get the village people out of there, because since the wraiths didn't have their attention on us or the village, we could have saved everyone without catching their attention, or any casualties. But guess who had a different idea? Instead of laying low like we agreed, the glorious Mr. Guy tries to attack the wraiths.
Hajime takes his sword and uses Eldritch Blast to attack the wraiths.
Oh god, here it comes.
Through his sword, because his samurai training kicks in.
Yada yada yada, same thing as before. But this time, he fails his roll. Critical failure. Facing the party and the villagers we were trying to protect. The worst experience I have had with Mr. Guy follows. DM. You failed your attack, so you slipped.
What? No! I want to try again!
DM. You're literally facing your party and villagers, so unless you plow through both Edith and the villagers, you will not be able to hit the wraith. It's fine, I just want to one-shot it. I don't care if people get hurt, let's get this over with! All of us were shocked, like Looney Tunes style, jaw dropped, eyes as big as saucers, shocked. Guess what happened? He succeeds on his try again. So guess what happened, my dear reader? Hajime uses his samurai sword to cast a spell again, succeeds, and now I have to make a series of rolls to try and hardcore parkour out of the way. But since my character is blind in one eye, it would be a miracle if I could dodge it. And guess what? By God, a miracle happened. Just barely. Oh, so barely, Edith managed to get out of the way. But unfortunately, since it was oh so barely, Edith got one of her big old goblin ears caught in the fire. Hajime cut off one of Edith's ears and caused the death of 5 villagers, 2 of which were children. But hey, congrats man, you got the wraith, kudos! After the situation died down, we as a group got beyond upset with Mr. Guy. This, of course, caused some character bleed. Sometimes character bleed can be good, but also sometimes bad. In this case, it was bad. The following happened. Player 1. Dude, why the fuck would you even think that was a good idea?
I got the wraith. There just happens to be a few casualties. This is just war. I don't care if innocent people die. If people win the war, if I kill people, then it is justified if it's in the name of war.
We were all silent. Likely because what he said made no damn sense whatsoever, actually. Player 2. Yeah, okay, no. I'm breaking character for a bit. Why would you even do that? Are you saying the whole, wow, the military is so neat thing as Hajime, or are you talking as you? Because I can't tell anymore. Mr. Guy.
Hajime is a soldier. He's like Levi from Attack on Titan. He doesn't care if people die, that's how war works.
Me. Dude, not now.
No, I promise that's how war works. It's in his character.
Okay, I'm cutting him off right now. For one, Levi is not a genocidal maniac. He generally tries his best to avoid unnecessary deaths. But leave it to this dude to see characters as so one-dimensional that just being cold and tragic automatically makes them a heartless psychopath. But that's my favorite thing about these edgelord stories. At a certain point, they become self-parody. These people are so obsessed with being perceived by others as cool and dark that they forget why dark storytelling is actually so powerful, opting instead just to brood so that they look deep and mysterious, when in reality they're just annoying, to a comical degree, plain and simple. It all comes down to either tastelessness or laziness, but most of the time, it's a fan of dark fantasy that thinks simply being dark and brooding automatically makes them interesting so that they don't actually have to put in any work. They see characters like Frank Castle and Levi and think, okay, maybe if I just make his backstory a nonsensical mash of tragic events, it will make everyone think that my character is super cool when he refuses to cooperate with the party instead of just dead weight. Trust me, dude, it doesn't. It makes everyone cringe before wanting to kick you out. Anyways, we still have a bit of story left to go, so roll post. For the sake of my own sanity, I'll cut this interaction short. It was messy, it was draining, and boy did it kill the fun of the entire campaign. Absolute total mood kill. We asked if he can tone down the war stuff and actually participate in the game, and everything would be cool. But he insisted. He would absolutely not put his foot down. It was absolutely mind-numbing. As a group, we wrote him a very polite and very professional letter, stating how we think it would be best if he no longer participated in our game, seeing as he didn't really participate as is. He got angry and continued to not talk to us whatsoever. With that, it marks one of my least favorite interactions with Mr. Guy. A word of advice? Do not let a Mr. Guy walk all over you, and please, please, please take care of yourself and check in with your players and DM. If there are themes in D&D that make you uncomfortable, do not be a Mr. Guy. And this ends yet another tale of problematic player behavior of the edgelord variety. If you thought this was bad, definitely check out my video about the edgelord to rule all edgelords in this funny box. Till next time.